Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all who have participated in the previous sessions of this side events. Then today is our new side event to the 2023 UN Statistical Commission. Then we are here to welcome all of you to join us today. As some of you who have participated in this side event before, you know the composition of this presentation. We often use this opportunity to update you the latest human development indices, but also using this opportunity to introduce our latest human development report and also the very important digital transformation the office is currently working on. So today, joining me are my colleagues, Harry Berto Tapia. He's the research head of Human Development Report Office, and our production team head, Admir Jahik. He will talk about a digital transformation. Then my name is Yanchun Zhang. I'm the chief statistician of the office, and I'm going to focus on the human development indices. Then for those who haven't been here with us in the past, then we will also introduce a little bit of history of our report and our indices, then also give you an overview of what we are offering in terms of statistics products. So during the presentations, if you have any questions, you can submit your questions in the Q&A box. We have colleagues stand by to answer these questions. Then we will also leave 15-20 minutes at the end of the presentations for you to ask us questions live. So without further ado, I'm going to start today's first presentation, followed by Harry and Admir. So now I'm going to share my screen. Can you see my screen now? So what I'm going to do today is to give you a very brief introduction to what we are currently offering at UNDP's Human Development Report Office in terms of metrics. Then the key purpose of our human development indices is to track development progress for better policy making. So that's why we are very serious about the consultation process. Then we also use the side event like this as one of the steps to help us achieve the full transparency. So first, I just like to emphasize the human development indices is not a standalone set of indices. Actually, it's part of the human development reports. So every year when we publish the global human development reports, we include this statistical annex at the end of the report. Then in this annex, we update the values and ranks and groups of all our human development indices. So since the Human Development Report was published in 1990, we have published 29 reports, and we have published the time series of Human Development Indices since 1990 till the latest 2021. Then the most important one is the Human Development Index. So this is a basic multidimensional index to track a broader set of capabilities. So it goes beyond a single focus on income. Then it introduced to account for three basic dimensions of capabilities. One is health, the other is education, then the third one is standard of living. Then we use 4 indicators in the composition of a human development index. Then we use the UN agencies mainly for the sources of these indicators. So when Human Development Index, HDI, was first constructed, we followed the 6 basic principles as guidelines. So first is to measure the basic purpose of human development. which distinguished our HDI from other development indices. Second is it was supposed to include a limited number of indicators. We want this index to be simple and manageable. Then third, to be a composite index so that it can be a powerful tool when we use it as an advocacy instrument. Then fourth is to cover both social and economic dimensions that over time we have been adding additional dimensions as well. Then fifth is to be sufficiently flexible in both coverage and methodology so that we can refine this index and other indices as better alternatives emerge. Then last, also we want the index not to be inhibited by lack of reliable data. So we from the very beginning, we want to have a suite of indices that are easy to communicate and appeal to a broad spectrum of users. Then over the 30+ years of the history, our HDI has been criticized for a couple of things, including the choice of dimensions and indicators, computational methodology, whether it's too simple to cover all the important dimensions of development, or a lack of policy relevance. So this criticism inspired the HDI revolution. It triggered changes and brought improvements over time. As human development approach has been evolving, as human development paradigm has been evolving, a large literature also emerged to study the conceptual and empirics of human development today. Then this also helped to provide intellectual sparks for our reports and our indices. So we have been offering a set of complementary indices and indicators since 2010, since 1990, but the current set of indices more or less stay the same since 2010. So we have HDI. We also have disaggregated indices by gender like GDI and GI, which I will introduce in a few minutes. We also have the indices using the microdata, for example, multidimensional poverty index and inequality adjusted HDI. In addition, we provide 5 dashboards to complement these composite indices. We will also often ask about the governance arrangement. So both the reports and indices have enjoyed the editorial independence. Then the report is the result of an independent intellectual exercise. However, we do report regularly at the UNDP Executive Board. Our director make a presentation to the member states to update them on the list on the last and upcoming human development reports consultation process. Then we truly believe in transparency. So to strengthen the transparency of this process, we have been following this 3-pronged approach. So first, we engage very closely with official statistical community, especially the National Statistics Office. We know today many statistics office officers join us. So we work very closely with you in improving our indices. So every year we send a letter to the National Statistics officers informing them the calendar of the upcoming report, and also give them idea about when we are going to cut off the data intake time so that they can bring any discrepancies between the data and their national sources of data to key international data agencies. Then we also periodically report to the UN Statistical Commission. The last reporting was done in December 2019. In addition, we also carry out consultations, workshops, and meetings. So one of these meetings is a side event to the UN Statistical Commission. We organize such an event every year. We also organize regional consultations as well. where we are going to invite statisticians to join us. We also, from time to time, organize measurement conferences. Often these conferences are thematic driven. So far, we have organized conferences focusing on environmental issues, gender issues, and sustainability issues. Then another important prong of our consultation process and transparency enhancing mechanism is through our statistical advisory panel. So it is a panel composed of head of international data agencies and also chief statisticians of some national statistical offices. So the panel members advise us in our statistical work. Now, another very important question we are often asked is, how does the office introduce a new index? So often we consult with our statistical advisory panel as a first step when we receive such a request, or if we identify such a demand. Then after that, we will carry out expert consultations. We will set up expert groups. We also commission technical papers. Then these papers, when they are ready, will be sent out for peer reviews. Then we also carry out public consultations to collect feedback from broad range of stakeholders. Then finally, the office will decide whether to introduce a new index. Sometimes as a middle step, we'll introduce the new index as an experimental index. Then after we collect sufficient feedback, we will decide whether to include it in our regular offering. Let me take an example how we introduce multidimensional poverty index to our statistical offering. So MPI complements monetary-based poverty measures. So individual or household is identified as multidimensionally poor if the household deprived in 1/3 or more of the weighted indicators. So the construction of MPI follows the basic structure of HDI, 3 dimensions, but here we're looking at 10 individual indicators. The MPI evolved from a long history of measures of poverty in our human development reports. In the 1996 report, we talk about capability poverty measure. And then in 97-98 reports, we introduced Human Poverty Index 1 and Human Poverty Index 2. But both these Human Poverty Index 1 and 2 had been heavily criticized. And then because of that, the office commissioned a paper on multidimensional poverty. So this paper was based on the counting approach of this Ikai and Foster 2011 paper. Then 2018, a revised global MPI with unified methodologies introduced by UNDP and OFI was introduced. Then since then, UNDP and OFI have been jointly publishing global MPI reports on an annual basis. But in addition to global MPI, UNDP also support national MPI work. So there are different emphases of these two work. Global MPI is focusing on using internationally comparable data sets. It has a uniformed methodology. So it's using the global household survey programs mainly so that global MPI numbers are comparable across countries, while national MPI can be developed and calculated locally, then it's owned by national governments. But methodology-wise, also it can be more flexible. UNDP has been providing technical support in this line of work as well. So the rest of the presentation, I will give you a very quick overview of the 2021 Human Development Indices, starting with HDI. So 3 key messages from the 2021 update of the Human Development Index. First, it's about story of progress interrupted. So this graph shows you the Human Development Index has been rising over the last 30 years, but in 2020 and 2021, you see the global HDI has dropped 2 years in a row. So this is a interruption of progress, human development progress. then this decline in HDI values has been universal. So this graph shows you the number of countries with the HDI values decline for that year. Then you can see even during the global financial crisis, we have around 20 or 20% of countries with the HDI values decline. But for 2020 and 2021, we have more than 90% of countries with HDI values either declining in 2020 or 2021 or in both years. So this decline in HDI is almost universal. But on the other hand, we also have observed the widening inequalities. So one observation has been that for the very high HDI group countries, in 2021, their HDI value has recovered. But for low, medium, and high HDI group countries, majority of these countries have experienced a continuous decline in HDI values in 2021 after initial decline in 2020. Then here, if you see the regional disparities, you also see some regions perform slightly better than others during the last 3 years, 19, 20, and 21. Then the regions like Latin America and the Caribbean, Sub-Saharan Africa, and South Asia, these are 3 regions keep on experiencing the HDI decline in 2021. Then here, the bar graphs give you even clearer idea how the regions have been performing differently. Then, for example, if you look at the red bars, these are the OECD countries. So in 2020, the HDI dropped from 2019, but in 2021, the HDI value already recovered somewhat. Then the key, the main contributor of the decline in HDIs is the life expectancy for most countries. So this is the life expectancy at birth trends from 1990 to 2021. Then here you also can see for almost all the regions, the life expectancy at birth has dropped from 2019 to 2020. Then for some regions keep on dropping in 2021. Very same regions we have been talking about, Latin America and the Caribbean, Sub-Saharan Africa, and also South Asia. So here are the bar graphs. So a lot of data will be presented today, but you may not have the chance to look at all these numbers. You are encouraged to come to our website. We have all the data presented there that you can also download the full sets, the full time series sets there. Then here, I'm going to talk the 2 inequality adjusted HDI. One is to address the intergenerational inequality. One is to address the intergenerational inequality. And then this IHDI was also introduced in 2010. Then you can see when the HDI is adjusted for inequalities, its HDI values will go down. So which is reflected in the difference between IHDI value and HDI value, which we call the loss due to inequalities. So if you look at the overall loss for the global HDI for 2021, that loss is 19.4%. But the regional disparities also quite big. Then for Sub-Saharan Africa, that loss is 30%, while for Europe and Central Asia region, that difference is 10.3%. Then this is a new index. We introduced experimental index in the 2020 report, but after collecting very positive feedback in our 21-22 report, we added to the regular offering of our statistical annex tables. So this is called planetary pressures adjusted HDI. Then I choose to present this graph because here you can see very clearly when the planetary pressures was taken into account as a discounting factor, then the PHDI value similar to IHDI value will be below the HDI value. But for most low and medium HDI group countries, their PHDI and HDI values are quite similar. You can see that's the left corner of this graph. But for high and very high HDI group countries, the gap between PHDI value and HDI value can be quite big, especially for Gulf states and for those small open economies with a lot of cross-border traffic and economic activities. Then we also currently offer 3 gender-related indices: Gender Inequality Index, Gender Development Index, and Gender Social Norm Index. I will quickly go over them. Then for Gender Development Index, GDI is a simple ratio of female HDI over male HDI. So again, the key messages from our 2021 update is worldwide, the average female HDI is 4.2% lower than the average male HDI in 2021. You can see the world GDI value is 0.958, so which means female HDI is 4.2% lower than the male HDI. Again, the regional disparities are quite big. That also is interesting to see the loss in HDI over the year of 2020 and 2021 was slightly lower for women, 0.8% for women and 1.0% for men. Then for GRI, this is the Gender Inequality Index. Over time, the gender inequality measured by our GRI has been declining, but the GRI has been quite steady for the last 3 years at the level of 0.465. So for 19, 20, and 21, we see global-wise, the GRI has not been able to continue the decline trend. Then just want to remind you, we are going to publish a new report or updated edition of Gender Social Norm Index report in a couple of months. So this is a new gender index we introduced back in 2019 Human Development Report. Then in 2020, we published first edition of GSNI report. It is to measure bias, prejudices, and beliefs against the woman. So this year, we are going to publish the second edition of this report. Please stay tuned. Then the other index, multidimensional poverty index, I briefly introduced you earlier, is published every October. So last year in October 2022, after the Human Development Report was launched in September, we published this latest 2022 MPI. Then the key findings are 1.2 billion people in the 111 countries are covered. We are using the 2020 population size. 80% of MPI people live in multidimensional poor people live in South Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa, these 2 regions, and also nearly 80% of these multidimensional poor people live in rural areas. So I strongly recommend you to come to our website, download this the latest 2022 MPI report, and have a deep dive of this analysis in the report. The impact of HDI has been quite high. It has been discussed at the highest level of political levels. Is also included in as a key indicator by Wikipedia, and it also widely used by investment banks in the construction of their sovereign and ESG indicators. Then going forward, we want to do a little bit more, expanding the research of our human development metrics to the freedom and agency dimensions. So far, our focus has been put on the achievements and the well-being aspect of human development. So the 3 key explorations we are currently doing: how to account for agency beyond well-being, how to measure freedoms beyond achievements, and how to engage with inclusive wealth. Then our exploration is also aligned with the UNSG's common agenda, especially its beyond GDP component. So beyond GDP initiative, from our view, could be decomposed to three lines: beyond income, beyond average, and beyond today. Now, of course, there are possible dimensions to consider when thinking beyond GDP. Each dimension can be pursued separately or combination. Then we already have some indices to capture some of these dimensions. For example, beyond income, we have the HDI and a multidimensional poverty index to capture the well-being achievements aspect. Then we also have gender inequality index capturing some of the agency component. Then for beyond average, we have inequality adjusted HDI to measure the inequality across people. We have GDI, gender development index, to measure the inequality across groups. Then in our 2021 multidimensional poverty index report, we also zoom in on the ethnicity focus. We compare the multidimensional poverty across different ethnicity groups in some developing countries. So these are the current work we have in place. For beyond today, we have the PHDI to look at how much freedom future generations will have to make their own choices. But for the assets of wealth, that's the one area we have seen some sister agencies have done a lot of work, but UNDP is also currently working on this topic. Then the office also always have this in mind when we write our reports and consider the new metrics we can offer to the development community. Then last but not least, this is only a very brief overview of what we are currently offering in terms of data and statistics. We have a very new website. My colleague Admir will introduce to you. It has a data center where you can have access to all the indices and also the individual components we use to construct these indices, then download them for your own analysis. So please come to our website to get to know our reports and get to know our indices. Then for those of you who are traveling to New York at the end of this month for the UN Statistical Commission, if you want to have a meeting with the office, with the team here to discuss technical issues or other issues of interest, please feel free to reach out to us. Even you are not traveling to New York, you can always send us an email, hdrostats@undp.org, to arrange a call or consultation meeting with us. We are always available to answer your questions and serve you. Thank you so much. So now I will hand it to my colleague Harry. Then he's one of the key authors. Prepared our 21-22 Human Development Report. Harry, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Yan-Chun. It's my pleasure to be here. Greetings to everyone connecting to this session. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about our report and also some implications for statistics and measurement to complement what Yan-Chun has been telling you. So I'm going to share my screen. Can you see it? I think so. Okay, so we published in September our latest Human Development Report, Uncertain Times, Unsettled Lives, Shaping Our Future in a World in Transformation. So, as I should show you, we are living through unprecedented times. So, It used to be the case that the Human Development Report was growing year after year on average, and Yan-Chun show you how for the first time there was a decline in the human development index for 2 years in a row, that 90% of the countries experience a decline. So this is a game changer. It used to be quite the opposite. Only around 10% or less than 10% experience a decline. Now it's the other way around, 90% a decline. So certainly this brings the idea of uncertainty. However, what this report emphasizes is that what happened with COVID is only one aspect of the uncertainty that has been already with us, and that will continue with us in the following years, decades. So this is a figure that shows how the level of stress were already rising across the world. And actually, they were rising also across socioeconomic groups, around 10 percentage points over the last decade. You can see this is way even before COVID, we have this trend. In addition, we have evidence coming from our special report on human security that says that globally, 6 out of 7 people feel insecure. Moreover, that the levels of insecurity, which is very big, moreover, the levels of insecurities the perceived insecurity have been rising in most countries when we can measure the time series. So, and this, moreover, some of the countries that are experiencing the highest increase in insecurity are developed countries. So here we are in a situation where, in a way, our idea of development is not protecting people from insecurity. So this is a big problem, and it is very connected with the sense of unsettledness that people are experiencing. Moreover, this has some repercussions in the lives of people in very dramatic terms. The estimation before COVID were that 1 in 8 people in the world were experiencing some sort of mental health disorder. All the evidence that we have seen after COVID is that these problems have increased. So we have something that is very, very important from the perspective of public health. And we are just starting to see the manifestations of the problem that are rooted in how we are managing development. So what's going on? So why is it the case that so far we have been developing, but at the same time, we feel more insecure? At the same time, we feel that there is a higher level of uncertainty, and we feel more unsettled. So this report makes the emphasis on the hypothesis that people are, even though are having more goods and services, they have, in a way, more power because they have more income than ever, more education than ever. However, they have a lower sense of control over their lives. And this is why the issue of freedoms and agency are so important, because this is an aspect that it's been always part of the human development approach. However, we haven't been very consistent in measuring it. There is another element that we are paying attention here, and is are the human emotions. So this is important because when in emotions can be can change a lot. They depend on mental states, and therefore are often seen as not very robust when it comes to statistics, which is true. However, emotions influence human behavior, and therefore we need to pay attention to what is happening with people. Moreover, in some cases, our indicators that have been developed many decades ago cannot capture the effect of the changes in our world, but people's emotions can react to it. So it's important to pay attention to them. Also, this report emphasizes that we need to turn our attention to the cultural context. In many instances, when we assess public policies, we tend to use the expression ceteris paribus. We understand that the effectiveness of our policies depend on the context, but fairly often we ignore that. We simplify our lives saying, well, let's assume that those factors are not playing a role. However, in a moment of huge transformational changes, like the one we are experiencing now, culture matters, and this is a key element that this report brings to the table. So we characterize in this report what we call the uncertainty complex. Life is always uncertain, but we claim that in this moment there are new elements that we need to take into account. First, we are facing the Anthropocene, this moment in human history, on Earth history, where humans are changing in dramatic way the planet, in a destabilizing way, in a way that is dangerous for humans themselves. On the other hand, we have many transformations. Some transformations are actually occurring because we are reacting to the Anthropocene. We want to find new paths for development. Other transformations are more autonomous. For instance, the digital transformation, and those are changing our life. Those are changing our culture, and they are hugely important to define human development today, and bringing uncertainty in the positive and negative side of it. And finally, in this report, we observe widespread and intensifying polarization. And I'm going to take a couple of minutes to explore in particular the issue of polarization. This report documents that there is a very robust connection between perceived human insecurity and polarization. So if you see this figure, these are histograms. The first histogram shows the distribution of political preferences. And you see that the extremes are fairly small for the cases of people with that perceive low levels of insecurity. But for people who perceive very high levels of insecurity, you see that the extreme, the bars in red, are significantly higher, more than double. So we are in a situation where the context of uncertainty generates human insecurity, and human insecurity is a key variable behind high level of polarization. Also, human security is connected with trust. When people feel insecure, they trust less, and therefore we can be in some sort of vicious cycle, because we have global problems that make us more insecure, and precisely and that make us trust less, that make us be more polarized, more divided, precisely when we need to be more united, so we cannot solve our common problems, and therefore there is more insecurity, and so on. So this is a big problem that this report stresses, because it's in the root of why we are not being able to solve some of the problems that we have, why we are why we are going so slowly advancing towards the problems related to climate change, for instance. So this is a key point that I think deserves increasing attention. However, there is another side of uncertainty. Uncertainty is not necessarily something bad. And this report explores how, precisely in times of uncertainty, sometimes we can see increases in capabilities, which what defines human development. So on the one hand, this report explores how, in the context of COVID, for instance, even though there were it was a bad context, there were important technological breakthroughs. The vaccines, they were very unequally distributed. However, the fact that we humans were able to fast track vaccines in a matter of months was quite remarkable. Also, in the context of COVID, many countries were able to push the frontier in terms of new ways of doing social protection, and also there were innovation in fiscal policies. And also, in many countries, we saw innovations in terms of social norms and behavior. So social norms can be stubborn, but at the same time, in some particular context, they can be changed. So in terms of policies, our report emphasizes that we are facing this uncertainty complex, and it's creating two problems, which is the result of two mismatches. So on the one hand, we have a set of institutions that is not fit for purpose in the new world. Some institutions were not fit, were lacking even before we had this uncertainty complex, right? It's part of the process of underdevelopment. But there are institutions that were working relatively well in the 20th century that are not necessarily going to work well in the 21st century. But also we have some cultural mismatches in the sense that the way societies are structured in terms of their culture might not be the best way to organize our societies in the 21st century, given the challenges that we are facing. So in the case of adequate institution, I'm going to be very brief. We offer a strategy based on the 3 I's: investment, insurance, innovation. This is not traditional investment or insurance innovation. Is to think about these 3 I's in the context. So we need to be proactive. We want to change the future, and the best way to change to deal with the uncertainty is to create the type of future that works for human development, and investment is uniquely positioned to do that. And in particular, we are talking about investment in human development. We are talking about investment in global public goods, etc. Insurance is essential because we need to address people's unsettledness. So we need to innovate in terms of insurance. And innovation is something that has to be embedded in every policy, not as wishful thinking. It's just because we know that what we have is probably not going to be enough in the next few years, and therefore we need to be able to adapt all of our institutions continuously. On the side of cultural mismatches, I think it's key. In our report, we emphasize that it's key to promote more equity in the form of recognition, in the form of representation, and also we need to use more our educational system. So I'm going to close here. So just to emphasize that the human development approach probably is more relevant than ever in the context of uncertainty and changes. At this moment, we all know that more income is not going to resolve the problems that we're facing. So the human development approach can help us to understand what needs to be done. So from the point of view of measurement, I want to emphasize some elements that we are trying to capture better. First, human security in Anthropocene. what is happening now in different parts of the world, what is happening with climate change, what are the effects of the new technologies. This also has to do with inequalities, etc. Also, agency. Yanshu already spoke quite a bit about this. It's essential to understand why people are feeling less control today. Third, attitudes are norm. These are subjective, but as I explained, even if they are caused by transitory elements, they matter for policy, but also they can give us some information that we cannot get from other indicators. And of course, we need to keep our agenda increasing the quality of indicators and the disaggregation. I'm going to stop here. I'm very happy to answer questions afterwards. Thank you. Over to you, Yanshu.
Thank you so much, Harry. Also for you to know, all our report have been translated in 6 official languages plus Portuguese, right, Harry? So if you want to have access to the report in your own language, please come to our website. We have the translated reports for you to download and read. Similarly to any statistics questions you have, if you have any questions about the report or previous reports, please reach out to Harry and our office. Next, I will hand the floor to my colleague Edmir. We have a lot of new changes on our website, on our data center, and a very exciting new data platform to share with you today. We have been going through important digital transformation in the last couple of years. So I would invite Edmir to give you a presentation. So Edmir probably can take a little bit longer to give the presentation, just to let the audience have a little bit taste of what we can offer here. Thank you, Edmir. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Anshul. Thank you, Anshul, and good morning, colleagues, and good afternoon. Yes, so today I'll just go over our innovations and digital transformation, and where you can find all this great content that Anshul and Harry introduced earlier. We work on digital transformation since 2019, and in 2022, we finalized second phase of digital transformation with the launch of new Human Development Data Center in June. And then we also advanced our data innovations and work on disaggregated measures of human development and launched a new platform in November of 2022. So just a brief background, Asia Public website and Knowledge Hub contains a digital library with over 1,500 background papers, various publications, reports, methodology papers, and also contains a Human Development Center and is a platform for communications on human development. It's a quite high traffic website with over 11 million page views annually from over 220 countries and territories. Now, in 2022, the new Asia Public website that we introduced, for many years, as many organizations have as well, we were going through digital transformation. We had challenges with user experience and how our content was structured. So using behavioral analytics and visual traces left by users, we developed new content management system with more intuitive organization and more effective user journeys. And we landed with a new platform, a new structure, new navigation that contained 3 main sections of the website, which are data center with country insights, new publications library, and also resources, like I mentioned earlier, for communications, for national human development reports, and other information. Now, new Human Development Data Center, and here's a direct link underneath. We really looked into it and seeing how users trying to find content and trying to download data and trying to explore data. We restructured the Human Development Data Center and developed new sections. So now a new data center has country and territory insights, has pages dedicated for each composite index, has pages dedicated to thematic dashboards, and an entire section dedicated to that. And then separately, there's also area for downloads. And currently, we're working on indicator exploration and download tool. And some solutions that this brought, the content is now more interlinked. So when users want to explore HDI, they can find one place with all information related to HDI in structure that supports the broadest audience segments. In process, we also simplified data publishing workflow, which means now if there are errors or if you want to update data sets, it's much easier, and you have two ways to do that. I'm not going to go too much in detail on this as it gets technical, but that information is also available. Now on to Human Development Data Center and Country Insights. Country Insights is the most visited page on Asia website. It gets over 2 million visits per year. It represents interactive summary for over 190 countries that captures key achievements of each country in HDI and other composite indices, including those that Yan-Chun introduced earlier. And with new version, we provided a country comparison functionality. We also allowed users now to explore data, to compare those achievements, and create customized human development country profiles. There's also functionality that users can save these customized country profiles and share them. So in a way, we went from doing manual development of country profile pages into this automated and highly customized way that allows users to be in charge of which countries they want to compare and how they want the final product to look. We also completely redeveloped pages dedicated to human development composite indices, and we developed feature pages that are much more user-friendly than they used to be. And we took in consideration, again, all audiences and provided in introduction high-level explainers and videos which to serve the broadest audiences. And then as users spend more time and want to dive deeper into information, we provided more visuals, we provided interactive data visualizations, data and metadata downloads, and also links and information about technical papers and methodology papers. So that's a brief summary of a new Human Development Data Center. And now on to second phase, with second section of this presentation, which is a new Human Climate Horizons data platform. And this new platform is a product of collaboration between Human Development Report Office and Climate Impact Lab. It's a data and insights platform, and it's part of our effort towards new generation of metrics that are disaggregated for all countries in the world. This platform provides information for over 24,000 regions worldwide under two emission scenarios, RCP 4.5 and RCP 8.5, and provides information for time horizons over the entire 21st century. This initial release provides information with three indicators. Indicators about mortality rates, which represents projected additional deaths due to climate change per 100,000 people. It provides information for changes in energy use, which is mean projected change per capita in electricity and other fuels used, and then also provides information about workers' ability to work in warmer conditions, which is mean change in time spent working due to climate change, which is usually shown in a number of hours per year per worker. And I'll play this video. I hope you can hear the sound. I think I enabled it, and let me see. Let's see if it works. Let me try. Okay, so this may not work. Check. Okay, we can go to examples. So then it's good that I have these backup slides. That's great. Let's see. So I'll show here some examples from Human Climate Horizons. So in terms of mortality rates, we can see country impacts, and we can see that people in developing countries and developing world are more vulnerable to a risk of death associated with increased heat. And this example covers country of Bangladesh and specifically a city of Dhaka. And we can see under scenario of very high emissions of RCP 8.5, we can see that towards the end of the century, the projection is that 132 additional people may die for every 100,000 compared to future with no climate change. And this number doesn't look high, but when you look at the aggregate for the entire city, we can see that this figure is doubles Bangladesh's current death rate of all cancers for each year, and it's 9 times greater than rate of road traffic fatalities in Bangladesh. And if you look at another example, and this here platform provides example for a comparison of health impacts of climate change across countries. What we can see here compared to baseline, we can see a potential escalation in inequalities. So baseline is shown here, which provides information about in 1986 and to 2005. And here we can see how this spread of deaths, additional deaths due to climate change expands as we go over the 21st century. And this potential escalation can add to inequalities in all other aspects of human development. And also what projected the research shows is that continuing global progress towards Paris Agreement targets can reduce the number of additional deaths by about 80%, which is possibility of saving millions of lives. So I'll stop here, but I'll be happy to answer any questions. If you need any information about human climate horizons, you can see it at horizons.hdr.unp.org. Or if you want to see more information about our reports and data, they're available on our public website. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Admir. So if you come to our website, you will be able to play with the data and stats as Admir just showed. You can compare your country's index with other countries. You can also compare your country's HDI with other human development indices. So you may discover something you previously have not recognized. So we strongly recommend you to come to our website and check out the new data center. And also this very, very innovative human climate platform. We spend a lot of time, efforts, and energy in bring this out. But as any knowledge product, if it is not used, the value is very limited. So we strongly welcome you to come to our website. As Admir showed, our website has a lot of visits, a lot of page views every year, but we still hope more people, especially statisticians, will come to our website and make use of these knowledge products we provide. Then if you have any questions about the website, about the data center, about this human climate platform, please also reach out to Admir and other colleagues. We'll be happy to answer any questions you have. So now the floor is open to your questions. If you want to ask a question, please raise your hand. Then our IT colleague will give you the authority to ask the questions live. I see a lot of clapping hands during our presentations. We really appreciate that. Then if you have questions, now is the opportunity. But as I said, anytime if you have inquiries, you feel free to contact the office either by email or through your mission, or write to any of us individually. You can find our email addresses from the website, and also if you need to contact any of us, you can also do that through UNDP country office. So we are here to support you. So I don't see any questions. I see a couple of questions raised in the Q&A box. Then some of you asked about the presentations and the recording. My colleague already replied. The recording will be made available after the session is completed. Then the link will be sent to you. So you will be able to have access to today's session. Then if you need a copy of the presentation, we can make that available as well. So if there are no questions, then we can end the session earlier. Harry and Admir, do you have anything to add here?
No, just to add or reinforce the idea that we are here to answer questions. If you don't have the question right now, you can reach us later on because your inputs are very important for our work. Thank you.
Same for me. Thank you, colleagues. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.
Exactly. Especially now we are currently preparing the consultations for our upcoming report. So probably we will see each other soon somewhere else. Okay, thank you so much. Then we'll see you next year. Bye-bye.